It is not only the red machines that gives me headaches and wrenching time. The green one is acting up also. It had started pushing out a little oil, I think, through the dipstick, and the oil level was way too high. And apparently, on these 6000 series John Deere's, the it could be coolant or diesel, because there is no physical connection in the way that it can be hydraulic oils as some other models, and even if it didn't really smell like diesel, but the cooking oil they pass off as diesel in Sweden these days doesn't really smell that much, and the exhaust pipe tends to want to wander and pivot around also, so every now and then we drilled a small hole and added a rivet there and hoped that would solve it, but that went away, so we tried again with turning it correctly, adding a rivet and tightening things up. Back to the fuel issue, or oil fuel mixture issue. Removing the cover to get access to undoing the sprocket that's on the fuel pump, because we're just gonna probably I've seen it now, because the axle inside the pump is worn, but replacing the seal, it will hopefully last this winter. Turned it to the point that the woodruff key holding the sprocket is up, so it won't be lost. The throttle linkage was removed, then tried loosening all of the pipes connected to the pump. Then it was about making sure I could get access to loosen the pump itself. It's 3 nuts holding it in place, and they are not very easy to access. Started loosening up a few cables there. I had also loosened the one electric cable for the stop solenoid. Could eventually remove the entire bracket down there, and tried with different tools and had to do some special setup to get access back there, but eventually I had them all loosened and knew that would work, so then all the pipes were loosened at the top to be able to get slack enough to bend them out of the way to be able to remove the pump. They were used a luggage strap to hold them out of the way. Then getting the key or the pump to get off the sprocket to get loose from the axle. The sprocket had 2 threaded holes in there, so I started trying to push the sprocket off. That might have been a little bit bad, because I kind of bent the washer that's on the pump there. You'll see as we get it out, and it didn't come undone, but a little bit of heat and then some tapping also with some tension on there, it came off. Fabricated a simple plate to hold the sprocket in place, and if you do remove a diesel pump, make sure there are some markings on the engine and the pump, so it can be reinstalled in the correct orientation. This had a marking already, so the woodruff key took a little bit of tapping and some work to get it to come undone, but it eventually came undone. Then there's the circlip, and here is the washer I talked about that I apparently was pushing against, and I think that might spin with the axle, so having it bent, my dad tried flattening it on the anvil. He drilled a little hole in the seal, and then a screw was inserted so it could be pried out, and there is a groove on the axle, so this pump, but hopefully this quick fix with just a new seal will last this winter at least. And I'm not sure if it's supposed to pump diesel out like that, and the axle should have that much play in it. We'll see if I will tackle looking over the pump myself, or just sending it off to be looked over. Some tape and some oil on the seal. There are some grooves, the circlip groove and kind of another cut out there, so some protections and not the damaged seal. Then the flattened washer and the circlip, and then tapping the woodruff key in place, and filed off a little bit of damage that was done to the axle. and then the Woodruff key back, and then it was time to start reinstalling the pump. And here I messed up because I had started installing it and realized there should be a seal on there also. I missed recording when we removed it, and so I had to backtrack a little and get the seal in place. Now I just held the sprocket while my dad installed the O-ring or the seal on there, and now we were back on track, and now it was time to fiddle with getting access to the nuts and tighten them up, also ensuring that the pump lined up with the corresponding mark on the engine. And with pump in place, the nut was tightened, some Loctite was added to it. Then it was just a matter of trying to start reinstalling the pipes for the fuel injectors and tightening them up. Then the electric cable on there, and then the bracket holding the electrical wiring, and then the throttle linkage. It's just a cotter pin under there holding it in place. So and the lid was added. My dad had drained the oil and that was refilled, but I missed that, and it refuses to start. And here I'm a little confused how the fuel system works on these machines, because there is some electric pump of some kind in the fuel tank, and we even tried cranking. I removed the hose and would see, because on the forest machines, if you turn the ignition on, the pumps a lot. So, and there is some electrical part on the fuel filter. I thought that could be some kind of level sensor, so if the fuel level is too high it won't pump anymore, but that turned out to be a heater because it was warm when I removed the filter. So we just primed the filter. It was running before, so we figured we would force it to start with a little bit of starter fluid in the intake, and it started running on that, and here you can hear it sound a lot happier. It gets some diesel fuel also, but exactly how the fuel system works I'm not sure. If the electric pump is not doing its job, then we could start lifting down the snow blower, because if we're gonna keep the road open any longer, we will probably need it some.